Have you ever felt completely forgotten by someone only to realize in the quiet moments that you're still very much in their thoughts? Today, I'm going to reveal the signs that prove you never truly left her mind, and why noticing them can change the way you understand your connection forever. Sometimes the most powerful messages are the ones that aren't said at all. The small, seemingly insignificant things she does can carry more meaning than 1,000 words. And if you pay close attention, you'll realize that these subtle reminders are her way of keeping you in her world without ever admitting it aloud. It could be a song she posts that you both once loved, a quote she shares on social media that echoes a conversation the two of you had years ago, or even a meme that perfectly captures a joke only the two of you would understand. These are tiny fragments of memory she sprinkles into her life, almost unconsciously, and yet they are directed toward you. They are not just coincidences or random acts. They are whispers of her mind trying to remind herself, and perhaps even others, that you are still there, quietly influencing the fabric of her days. You may scroll past these moments, dismiss them as ordinary, but if you look closer, you'll see the deliberate patterns, the way certain things appear at just the right time, as though she is leaving invisible breadcrumbs that lead back to you. These reminders don't always come in the form of digital signals. Sometimes they are gestures in the real world, fleeting and subtle, yet impossibly significant. Perhaps she wears a scent you once loved, or laughs at a joke that you know only she finds funny because of a shared memory. Maybe she walks past a place that was special to both of you, and her eyes linger for just a moment longer than necessary. These moments may seem ordinary to an outside observer, but to you, they are coded messages, tiny fragments of acknowledgement that say, without words, that you are still present in her thoughts. And it's not always conscious on her part. She may not even realize she's doing it, but the fact remains. Her mind circles back to you again and again in ways that are subtle enough to be denied, yet persistent enough to be undeniable. Even the way she interacts with mutual friends, the way she brings up things you once said, or recalls memories that are seemingly irrelevant to the current conversation, these are all subtle reminders that she hasn't erased you from her life. They are the echoes of a connection that was too strong to fade completely, reminders that your presence left a mark too deep to ignore. And sometimes these reminders are meant for herself more than anyone else. They are a way for her to process the lingering feelings, the quiet nostalgia, and the parts of her heart that still feel tethered to you. Every small act, every seemingly meaningless reference, every tiny smile triggered by a memory of you is a proof that even if she doesn't reach out, even if she doesn't speak your name, you are still alive in her mind, still a quiet companion in her inner world, still a presence that she cannot completely forget. Sometimes the clearest signs that you are still on her mind come not from what she says, but from the little ways she unconsciously pays attention to you. It's in the way her eyes might light up when your name comes up in a conversation, even if she quickly hides it, as if trying to convince herself that she doesn't care. It's in the way she notices the smallest details about your life, the ones most people would overlook. Maybe she sees a new haircut, a new photo, or a small achievement you've quietly shared, and her reaction, however fleeting, betrays a spark of acknowledgement. These aren't grand gestures. They are not overt confessions, but they carry a weight far greater than words ever could. Her attention is subtle, delicate, almost hidden, yet it is real, and it's for you. It's proof that somewhere beneath the surface, she hasn't stopped noticing, hasn't stopped caring, and hasn't allowed herself to completely move on. Even when she seems distracted or distant, there's a pattern in the way she tunes into your life. Perhaps she comments on a story you didn't expect, or she likes a post that seems random, but is actually tied to a memory only you two share. Sometimes it's even more subtle. She might remember the exact time you mentioned something years ago, or she might bring up an offhand remark you made, and she does this without consciously realizing it. It's as if her mind still keeps a mental archive of you, cataloging the moments that mattered, the little quirks, the tiny habits, and the fleeting emotions you once shared. This kind of attention isn't performative. It isn't meant for anyone else to see. It's genuine, unintentional, a quiet reflection of the space you still occupy in her inner world. And the fact that she notices, even without trying, is one of the clearest signs that you remain present in her heart, even when you think you've been forgotten. What makes this unintentional attention so powerful is that it's consistent yet unpredictable. It doesn't come in obvious waves or rehearsed gestures. It's scattered across the days and moments, like a secret language only you are meant to understand. She might check on things you post, react to a memory, or pause a moment longer when your name is mentioned, all without intending to signal anything. And yet, for someone paying attention, it is a pattern impossible to ignore. It is a living proof of emotional presence that no amount of time or distance can erase. She may never directly confess it. She may never send a message that says, "I think of you." But her unintentional attention does it for her, quietly and persistently, like ripples that spread out and touch your world in ways you might barely notice but feel deep inside. Her mind doesn't operate in a vacuum, and neither does her heart. Every unnoticed glance, every silent acknowledgement, every moment where she catches herself remembering you is an echo of connection that refuses to fade. Even if she acts like she doesn't care, these small gestures prove that she does, in ways subtle enough to confuse you, but real enough to show that you are still living in her thoughts. One of the most revealing signs that you are still in her mind lies not in what she says, but in how she feels. And more importantly, how those feelings subtly reveal themselves. Emotional reactions are rarely completely hidden, even when someone tries to mask them. You might notice it in the way her mood shifts when you appear, even briefly, in her life. It could be a spark of excitement, a quick flicker of curiosity, or a subtle softness in her expression when something reminds her of you. These reactions may be fleeting, almost imperceptible, but for anyone attuned, they are impossible to miss. When someone has truly moved on, these nuances don't exist. When she still carries you in her heart, they seep through unconsciously, like tiny cracks letting the light in. Even if she avoids eye contact, pretends to be indifferent, or acts casually, her emotional reactions tell the real story, a story her words might never confess. Sometimes it's not about grand gestures or dramatic moments. It's the little things, how her voice might catch for a second when your name is mentioned, how a smile might linger just a fraction longer when she recalls a memory connected to you, or how her laughter suddenly softens when the topic of a shared experience comes up. You may even notice that she reacts differently to things in her life, depending on whether you are aware of them or not. When someone leaves a lasting impact on her heart, ordinary moments can trigger extraordinary feelings, often without her even realizing it. These emotional ripples are evidence that the connection you once had is still alive beneath the surface, quietly influencing her inner world in ways that are invisible to everyone but the one who understands. It's also important to recognize that emotional reactions are not always joyful. Sometimes they carry complexity, hints of longing, nostalgia, or even regret. These feelings are not contradictions. they are proof of the depth of your presence in her mind. The way she reacts to your life, the events you share, or the memories you once created together reveals that her heart hasn't completely detached. Even if she projects confidence, independence, or disinterest, these emotions act like subtle breadcrumbs, signaling that she is still connected to you emotionally. The very fact that she experiences these reactions at all, without consciously intending to display them, is a testament to the silent impact you have had and continue to have on her inner landscape. Every subtle shift in mood, every momentary hesitation, every involuntary reaction is a language in itself, spoken without words, but loud enough for anyone paying attention to hear. It's a quiet but persistent reminder that even if time has passed, and even if you no longer see her every day, her heart and mind still hold traces of you, traces that surface in the form of emotions she cannot fully control or conceal. These reactions are not meant to manipulate or communicate consciously. They are purely authentic, natural, and raw evidence that you remain a living, breathing part of her emotional world, even when she walks through life as if she has moved on. One of the most fascinating ways she lets you know you're still in her thoughts is through indirect communication. It's not in bold statements or direct messages. It's hidden in the quiet spaces, in the things she says to others, and in the small hints she leaves behind without realizing they carry weight. Maybe she mentions you casually to mutual friends, brings up stories from your shared past, or recalls moments that seem insignificant to anyone else but are deeply tied to you. These are not just coincidences. They are pieces of a subtle puzzle that reveal her continued attention, her subconscious need to acknowledge your presence in her life without having to confront it directly. Indirect communication is almost like a secret language she speaks only when she thinks no one is watching, a language that communicates care, curiosity, and lingering connection in ways words addressed to you never could. It could be as simple as dropping a reference to something you once said in a conversation with someone else, sharing a song or a quote that reminds her of you, or laughing at a memory that only you two would understand. To an outsider, these actions may seem meaningless, even trivial, but for someone who knows the nuances of your past together, they are loud and clear signals. They are her way of keeping your memory alive, testing the waters to see if you notice, or simply revisiting moments that made her heart feel connected to you. Indirect communication is often a reflection of her emotional state. She may not be ready or willing to reach out directly, but through these subtle cues, she maintains a bridge to your presence, a quiet acknowledgement that you still matter in her world, even from a distance. There's also a certain beauty in how indirect communication allows her to express feelings that she may not be able to articulate openly. By referencing you through others, through stories or through shared jokes, she reveals the ongoing imprint you have left on her mind. It's not always intentional. Sometimes she doesn't even realize the impact of what she's doing. But these moments are powerful reminders that she still thinks of you, still remembers you, and still allows herself to be touched by the echoes of what you once shared. It's her mind's way of keeping you present, like a quiet hum in the background that you can feel but not always see. What makes this even more compelling is that indirect communication often happens in ways that feel spontaneous, organic, and completely unplanned. There's no script, no rehearsal, no attempt to manipulate. It's genuine, raw, and unfiltered. When she mentions you in passing, shares memories with mutual friends, or drops subtle hints in conversations that seem unrelated, it's a reflection of the truth that you remain in her thoughts, whether she wants to admit it or not. These moments are scattered, fleeting, and sometimes easy to miss, but they carry immense emotional weight, revealing a connection that refuses to be erased, a presence that lingers even when she moves through life as if it has ended, and a heart that quietly continues to carry fragments of you. Another subtle sign that you are still living in her mind lies in the way she shows care, sometimes without even realizing it, through her protective instincts. This isn't about obvious gestures or loud declarations. It's in the small, quiet ways she ensures your well-being, safeguards your emotions, or even shields you from discomfort. She may not reach out to you directly, and she may never say, "I still care." But her actions reveal a deep, almost instinctive concern that refuses to fade. Perhaps she subtly checks that you're okay through mutual friends, ensures that you don't face unnecessary challenges or avoid situations that might hurt you. These are the invisible threads she weaves around you, a reflection of her lingering emotional attachment, a way for her heart to remain engaged, even in silence. Protective instincts are often unconscious. She may not realize the significance of what she is doing, and she may never intend for you to notice. Yet these gestures are powerful proof that her mind hasn't entirely let go. She is still attuned to your life, still emotionally present, and still holding a part of herself that wants to guard your happiness, even from afar. It could be something as simple as remembering details you once mentioned, like an important appointment, a challenge you're facing, or something that brings you comfort. It could also be more subtle. She might adjust her own choices, her social presence, or her behavior in ways that protect you, even when you're completely unaware. This level of attention speaks volumes about the depth of her connection to you, because it comes from a place of genuine care that no words can fully capture. What makes protective instincts particularly revealing is that they often appear when you least expect them. You might notice her reactions indirectly through mutual acquaintances, shared memories, or the way she acts in social circles that overlap with yours. These instincts manifest quietly but consistently. They are not performative. They are not about being seen or acknowledged. Instead, they are about keeping you safe, happy, or respected, driven by a subtle but undeniable attachment that refuses to dissolve over time. Even if she seems distant, even if she acts as though she has moved on, these instincts betray a truth she may not consciously admit, that you remain in her thoughts, her care, and her heart. The beauty of protective instincts lies in their authenticity. They cannot be faked or forced. They are deeply rooted in the emotional bond that once existed, a bond that continues to influence her behavior, even when she is not aware of it. It's as if part of her heart is still walking alongside you, quietly guarding, quietly caring, quietly noticing, in ways that go unnoticed but are profoundly meaningful. Every small act, every subtle adjustment, every silent consideration is proof that she is still invested in you in ways she might not even recognize herself. Her heart still remembers, still reacts, and still protects, leaving traces of her presence woven into the fabric of your life. Perhaps the most telling sign that you are still living in her mind is the presence of unfinished emotional loops. These are the invisible threads of feelings, memories, and experiences that she hasn't fully processed or let go of. The quiet echoes of a connection that was once deep enough to leave a lasting imprint. Even if she appears to be moving on, even if she projects confidence or independence, these loops linger subtly, shaping the way she thinks, reacts, and carries herself. They are the fragments of emotions that refuse to settle, the gentle reminders that some stories don't end neatly, that some hearts don't close completely, and that some connections continue to exist quietly in the background of her consciousness. These unfinished loops are not always conscious. She may not even realize they are there, yet they influence her actions, her moods, and her attention in ways that reveal the lingering presence of you in her inner world. You might notice these loops in her subtle hesitations, in the moments where she pauses before responding to certain topics, or in the way she reflects quietly when certain memories surface. Sometimes they appear in her behaviors that seem inconsistent or contradictory. She may act detached or aloof one moment, and then unexpectedly nostalgic or soft the next. These fluctuations are not random. They are the emotional residue of a connection that has left its mark. They show that even though time has passed, a part of her is still processing, still remembering, still holding on to pieces of what you once shared. Every thought she revisits, every memory that surfaces unexpectedly, every fleeting feeling that causes her heart to tighten is a whisper of unfinished business, a reminder that your presence still echoes in her world in ways both subtle and profound. Unfinished emotional loops can also reveal themselves through patterns of attention, care, and reflection. She might find herself drawn to things that remind her of you, returning to old conversations, stories, or places that once held significance for both of you. These loops are not about consciously trying to reconnect. They are about her heart trying to reconcile what remains unresolved. They are the quiet signals of emotional investment that cannot be erased by distance, by time, or by the changes life brings. When she experiences these moments, her mind is revisiting your shared past, replaying fragments of emotions that were never fully expressed or resolved, and in doing so, she keeps you alive in her thoughts. What makes unfinished emotional loops so revealing is that they are often intangible, invisible to the outside world, yet profoundly impactful for those who know how to notice them. They exist in the pauses between words, in the way she reacts to certain situations, in the little ways she lingers on thoughts of you, even when no one is watching. They are proof that the connection you once shared has left traces that cannot be fully erased. Proof that even in silence, even in apparent absence, a part of her continues to live in the world you were once part of together. Proof that your presence still occupies space in her heart and mind.